Okay, RecTechies, welcome to another episode of the YouTube show. James Neve is the head of data science for Adzuna, the job search engine based in the US and the UK. And he's going to talk to us today about a new free AI interview coach tool called Prepper. Welcome, James. Great to have you.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Looking forward to seeing this thing in action. So let me preface it a little bit with a quote from the Adzuna blog. According to the company, their recent advances in large language models, LLMs, alongside Adzuna's proprietary data and expertise, have made it realistic to simulate interview questions for any job at any scale, at any company. Prepper allows job seekers to prepare for job interviews by generating questions likely to be asked based on information from the job ad, as well as coaching them on how to best respond, changing the game for interviewees. So James, last month I wrote an article on RecTechMedia.com predicting a number of different AI job search tools are going to come about. You guys were the first ones to help prove that theory correct. So interview coaching was one of those ideas I predicted. So congratulations for being first there, making me look good as well.
Good to know we're helping.
Definitely. All right. So walk us through the new tool. Share your screen here and let's get right into it for the audience.
Sure, let's dive in. I'll show my screen. And you can see the page here, and I'll just go through to this page. Right, so just before I dive into the demo, by the way, it's going to be nice and short and quick. So before I do that, just to kind of explain what Prepper is. So Prepper is an AI interview coach. It can generate unique and pretty realistic interview questions, we think, for pretty much any combination of job title, description, and company. And for context, on Adzuna, we've got over 7.5 million postings in the US at the moment, over 1 million in the UK. So we're talking lots of job postings. And it doesn't just generate the questions. You'll see this in a minute. It can also provide model answers, and it will evaluate your answers that you provided. So it's kind of, I think it's quite neat. We're super excited about it. You can also customize, obviously the results are customized to your particular job posting, but you can also customize the persona of the person that's interviewing you. So you'll see that in a second. And then the last thing I was just going to mention before we dive into it is just kind of explain why we built it, if anyone's wondering. So it basically it's kind of yet another kind of hopefully interesting and useful tool that we built for job seekers, just extra value add there for them. We've already got tools like Value My CV on Adzuna, and this kind of extends our sort of our pattern where we're kind of building cool and useful tools based on the data.
Okay.
Just one little side note as well. Since we launched it about a week ago, and we've had great traction. Like the figures on the website have gone up and up really nicely over the week.
Yeah.
Had some good press. We actually uncovered a new use case that we hadn't really thought of properly before, which was interviewers themselves using the tool to get ideas, get inspiration for questions that they would actually ask candidates themselves. So it's quite interesting. Interesting angle that we hadn't really kind of thought of that. But anyway, let me just dive in and do the demo. As I say, it kind of won't take too long. It's really, you can see on the screen here, it's kind of super simple user interface. Works really nicely on mobile, by the way. It's mobile first actually, so you can just try that on your mobile device.
Great.
So there's only 3 things that you can use to enter. The title is the mandatory one, and then optionally you've got job description and company. So the way you do this, you just need to go to find a job ad that you're interested in, and then you kind of copy and paste it in, or you can just type it in. But if I just go to, let me just fire up Adzuna here, and I'm going to search for, let's go for software engineer. It's at maybe at Amazon. There we go. So we've got some results. So let's go with the top one. So we have senior software development engineer, Amazon transportation. So I won't read through the whole of this, obviously. That's we don't have time for that. Just to pick out some nuggets for this job. Obviously, it's a software dev role, and some interesting characteristics of it are that clearly this is like sort of like logistics-based kind of technical role. Being Amazon, of course, it's at a huge scale. So we've got millions of packages. Dense graph of nodes. And there's also some important stuff here about this job, which is to do with, it looks like it's actually creating a CRM, so customer relationship management system. And they also mention, you've got some other buzzwords in here, you've got Salesforce, AWS, and so on. Lots of focus on teamwork and a bit on mentoring, I think. Yeah, mentoring. So that probably gives you enough flavor for the job ad itself. Let's just go ahead and do it. So we'll grab the job title, paste that in like that, and it'll be the same. So for the description, I think it kind of goes down to about here. I think the rest of it probably is not so much about the job itself. So we'll just go with that. Copy that in.
Do you think you'll ever, just to stop you there, James, for a second, do you think you'll ever make that job title box actually searchable from the Adzuna database itself instead of having
to absolutely. We have like a document with at least a couple of pages of ideas for how we can enhance all this, and having it linked across to the Adzuna website is an obvious step. Yeah, it's very much, we just built this quickly, pushed it out as an MVP, but yeah, great. It's a great idea. Let's just stick the company in here. So yeah, so it's a bit tedious. You've got to copy and paste it, but hopefully, if you're actually a job seeker going for a real interview, it's worth the effort. We hope you'll agree it's worth the effort. Last thing is you can pick your interview style. Easy and hard are probably self-explanatory. Pirate if you want to. Yes, we just put that in there for a bit of fun, really. We try to bake this into most of our products because we're very conscious that.
Yeah, let's go with pirate. I want to see what that's like.
Exactly. Well, job seeking process is fundamentally not that fun. Okay, so we try and put a bit of fun in there. It does actually work. Maybe we'll do that at the end, but let's go hard, shall we? I guess we can go back and try another one. But you hit get interview questions. Obviously, we're now crunching the data behind the scenes. And here we go. We got the answers. So by default, we come back with 5. I will. Well, okay. Can you explain a complex problem you solved? So you've got some stuff here about the large-scale distributed system, which relates to this particular transportation role and cross-systems integration. And then we've got, it's picked up that point about mentoring as well. How, describe a time when you had to lead and mentor a team of engineers. So you've got your 5 questions. And by the way, to be clear, it's not a deterministic system. So if you go back and do this again, you're going to get a different set of questions.
Okay.
And so yeah, what we can do is go. What I'll do, I'll answer one, and I kind of won't answer it that seriously, so you can kind of see it's not, doesn't always give you great.
Yeah. Oh, let's tell the audience the question. So we have, can you explain question number 1? Can you explain a complex problem you solved in a previous role? Question number 2 says, how would you approach optimizing the performance of a large-scale distributed system? Question 3, tell me about your experience with cross-systems integration, how you handled challenges in that area. Question 4, what are some of the best practices you follow to ensure security and compliance in your applications? And question 5, describe a time when you had to lead and mentor a team of engineers, how you approached it. So, okay. So you want to answer question number 1, right?
Yeah, that's something we could try and think, but let me just, I won't kind of spend the time doing a kind of a long proper answer, but I'll just put something in just to show you how the system works. Yep. Can you explain a complex problem you solved? Okay, sure. Yeah, so let's go. Yeah, in a previous role, I needed to design and build an automated valuation system for residential property, and needed to update daily, and we solved it with a neural network. Okay, so not the best answer, I don't think, but maybe halfway there, halfway to something. So then you get feedback, and then we have the evaluation. So yeah, okay, so that's not too bad, 80 out of 100. So just quickly read this out. So this is the feedback that's come from the system. So the candidate provided a clear and concise, it certainly was concise, explanation of a complex problem they solved in their previous role. They mentioned the need to design and build an automated valuation system. They also mentioned using a neural network. However, they could have provided more details about the specific challenges they faced and how they overcame them. I think it's probably pretty fair
Yeah, that
feedback.
makes sense because you only typed in like 2 sentences there. So
Yeah, exactly. It's like it was a bit lightweight. So if we go back, so happy if you want to ask me on any specifics, we can do this. But if you go to any particular question, you can give me an example answer, which is quite nice. So this one, I don't know, which one would you like, Chris? Do you go for?
let's go with number 4. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So let's just click that through.
I can see that being used a lot. It's like almost like cheating.
Yeah. So the question was, what are some best practices you follow to ensure security and compliance? Okay, so we've got prioritizing use of secure coding practices. I'm conscious a lot of people watching this video may know a really good answer to this question, so I hope it does a good job. Some of it's a bit beyond me, but we've got output encoding, proper data handling, avoiding SQL injection. So it seems pretty good. It seems pretty thorough. Vulnerability scanning, penetration testing. Certainly we do that stuff here all the time. And so and you'll see at the bottom where it says reasoning, this is a little bit tongue in cheek, but we thought it was kind of useful for the model to end up critiquing its own model answer, if that makes sense. So just kind of in the interest of transparency, that's what's going on there.
Okay.
So yeah, so the idea is a candidate can go here, they can go through the questions, they can choose to answer any they want, and then they get a score. If they answer them, they get a score. So we try to gamify it a bit. And then if they get stuck, ask for the model answer and have another go. It's that kind of process. So yeah, that's basically the tool.
Okay. I have a couple follow-ups here. So can you go back to the main screen where we type in the job title? Yeah, so just type in for the job title. We'll leave the description blank, but let me try something. So let's do marketing manager for a crypto startup or something. Yeah. And then we just see what kind of questions it gives you.
Yeah. And easy or hard?
Let's do easy. Let's see what that's like.
Easy, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. I guess that's unlikely to be the title. We could put crypto startup in the description, but let's just go with it. We'll see what happens.
Okay, yeah, we do that. Bob is preparing.
I've been pleasantly surprised by the tool actually since we launched it. So we'll see. Okay, yeah. What's attracted you to the crypto industry? It seems like a decent start. How would you approach marketing a new cryptocurrency to a wide audience? Tell me about a successful marketing campaign. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and developments in the crypto industry? And yeah, strategies for brand awareness.
That seems like typical questions you might hear. So I like what the tool gave you there. So pretty cool.
We definitely found that yeah, like when you add when you can kind of copy and paste the description from a real job advert, then
it gives you more specific questions.
Yeah, it's got a lot more to go on, and actually often there's some not really relevant to the examples we've just done, but often there's some interesting stuff in the job description about the company rather than about the role. But actually, we've seen some of those questions that come through.
What's an example of that? So how would the tool know like what's life like at a certain company, or?
Well, obviously, behind the scenes, I'm sure no surprise to you, Chris. I'm sure you figured out already. Behind the scenes, we're obviously using a large language model, so it's just it's incredibly smart at being able to parse out the job advert and figure out which parts are to do with the role and which parts are to do with the company. But I've seen some quite nice examples in the past where it's kind of asking some different types of roles. So I think it was HR roles I was looking at where asking kind of almost quite insightful questions about to do with the culture of the company that was being described in the job description. So it's kind of often surprising how well it does. Obviously, what I would say is kind of big caveat. I probably should have said this at the start, Chris. It's not perfect, and we're definitely not suggesting, especially for interviewers, that they take these jobs and these job questions and just ask those blindly, like clearly.
Right. It's just a starting point. It's
yeah.
And how do you access it again? Just from the homepage of Adzuna itself, or?
Yeah, sure. So hopefully you can see the URL up here. So it's literally just adzuna.co.uk/job/prepper. I mean, obviously, if you go to the Adzuna main site, you'll see a bunch of links through to that, or you can just Google Adzuna Prepper. So yeah, it's free.
And there's no login required or anything.
So, yeah, no free tool, no logging, no personal data is provided, is asked for. So hopefully that people won't have any kind of GDPR type concerns with using a tool like this. And I think it's kind of part of the feedback that we got from some users on it was that you know, even though the questions, like, we're not saying they're perfect because they're not perfect, but it can be a great confidence builder. Say you've got an interview in a day or two and you just kind of, you want to make sure you're ready, and if you can use a tool like this, and maybe you do a great job at answering 3 or 4 of the questions, that should hopefully give you a good bit of confidence that you'll be able to handle the interview for real. And maybe some of the questions that you get a bit stuck on, you know, that will give you the inspiration to go away, maybe just do a bit more research in those areas before the interview. So yeah, we're kind of super excited about it. We think it is a genuinely useful tool, and it's been quite nice for me because I've been actually personally involved on the software development side of this product as well.
So you're a data scientist there, right? So
I am, yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question, James, about just AI and job search. Like, what else? Where else do you think AI like this will help job seekers specifically over the next, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Putting on your prediction hat, what do you think?
Yeah, big question, Chris. I like it. Okay, I think there's 2 things, right? So, actually, the main one relates to your question. I'm kind of probably going to chuck in another answer as well, which is almost like relating more to the industry, which I feel is important to mention. But let me just answer your question first. The main area that I see as this is not long term, because honestly, things are just changing so fast. I feel like it's going to be a bit crazy to try and make any kind of long term predictions, but sort of short, medium term predictions. Stuff where I've already seen some traction going on is AI tools being used for really pushing, getting job seekers quite a long way down the application process. So if you're familiar with the auto GPT or sort of similar tools like that, where you can effectively tell a model that you're after a job in whatever it may be, in whatever location, and that the model goes out there, hunts those jobs down, finds the ones that are the best fit for you, and actually does the application, can actually submit the application. Maybe it's got a copy of your CV, fills in the application form automatically. I mean, I know it sounds a bit crazy, but we're really not far off that.
No,
submit
yeah.
That, and then the job seeker, it can almost sort of sit back and wait for the responses from companies to see if they get an interview anywhere. I mean, that is like, it almost sounds like 5 years ago, that would sound like kind of science fiction. Now it's kind of really not far off, and there are companies that are kind of claiming to be doing this right now. I don't think we're quite there yet. So we hear a lot of feedback from job seekers, and one theme. I've been at Adzuna for over 9 years now, and one theme that's permanently come through is that the job seeking process is basically it's a little bit soul destroying, if I'm honest. I think it's tough.
You can say that.
You come across job ads that are expired, or you apply and you don't get a response. You've got your CV, but they want you to fill in this complicated job application form. And there's loads and loads of barriers and hurdles and pain points. So actually using AI tools like this to smooth that out, I think that's the big win for the job seekers. Just to chuck in my other one, which was not directly what you're asking about, but I think it's kind of useful for people to think about in the same context, is and this one can be a little bit more controversial, but it's companies using AI at the other end of the process to evaluate candidates based on their CVs. Now, this is something which has been talked about for years and years and years. Loads of companies have tried to build tools and models to do this. I think, honestly, without much real success. I feel like the tech now is probably just about close enough that now that can be done sensibly and quite accurately, but it does raise all sorts of concerns, I think, about bias, for example, and impartiality, and yeah, it kind of ties in with, I don't know if you followed it, Chris, but there's the proposed EU AI Act, where they specifically single out this application of AI as something which would need. They're not saying it's not allowed, but they're saying it would need some really careful safeguards built around it if any company was to do this. But I can't help feeling that is going to be something which ends up being built and that ends up working quite well and fits into the process somehow. But there's a whole world of uncertainty still around, I guess, regulation almost and safeguards to make sure that this whole kind of end-to-end process works well. Because even that first step that I described, where you maybe have almost like automated applications going out, if you think about that in the recruitment industry, that also scares the pants off a lot of employers, because you're thinking, well, if I advertise a job, I might just get flooded with these applications, because now it's so easy for people to apply. They haven't done any work, they just pressed a button. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that evolves.
Yeah, someone's going to build an apply bot out there and flood some employer, poor employer, with thousands of resumes out there if they haven't done it already. So but good stuff, James. Well, appreciate you coming on today and talking about the new tool. Anything else we can expect from Adzuna this year as far as new features go? Or
yeah, we are. I'm trying not to make it sound like too much of a plug, but we are doing a little bit of a revamp on our Value My CV tool, which actually was built about 8 years ago originally. So it's kind of
is that a resume builder, or what is that?
Yeah. So no, sorry, I should explain. It is sorry. So Value My CV, or Value My Resume for US folk. You upload your CV, and we use a machine learning model to parse it and estimate the salary that you could earn with your set of skills and your experience. That's what the tool does. But with the advent of these cool generative AI tools now, we've spotted a couple of areas where we can really, we think we can really kind of turbocharge that product and make it even better. So yeah, watch the space for that one. We think that's going to be quite cool.
Very cool, very cool. We need to like standardize the resume or CV argument someday in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't going to even open that can of worms, but I know other people are talking about whether this large language model tech ends up making CVs redundant. I'm not sure. I actually still think the CV or the resume will be around for quite a long time still, but yeah, time will tell.
All right, well, James Neves from Adzuna, thanks very much for joining me today, and I appreciate the demo.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, that's going to do it, folks. See you next time on RecTech on YouTube.